Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Diego with the beautiful Karina, my lovely prometida. And we're waiting for our K1 visa to get adjudicated at the Service Center in California, USA. We are in month 12. Our NOA1 letter date is April 18th, 2022. It is April 2023. Boom, we don't count days. Counting days would drive us crazy. We just keep track of the months. And this video, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is about Guatemala, beautiful Guatemala, and the U.S. Embassy contact information and how many K1 visas were approved in fiscal year 2022. And we're going to talk a little bit about Guatemala. Now, we want to thank Kelvin for this wonderful idea, and Kelvin's from Guatemala, going through this K1 visa process, getting ready for their approval, hopefully sooner rather than later. Now, Guatemala is officially the Republic of Guatemala, and in Spanish it is República de Guatemala. Beautiful. It's a country in Central America, and it is bordered to the north and west by Mexico, beautiful Mexico, and to the northeast by Belize, beautiful Belize, and the Caribbean to the east, and the Caribbean, and to the east is Honduras. Now, I've been to Honduras, I've been to Belize, I've been to Mexico. So I can say with first-hand testimony, they're beautiful countries. And I've been to Guatemala. And on the southeast of the country is El Salvador, and to the south is the Pacific Ocean. Now, Guatemala has an estimated population of 17.6 million people. Okay? So it is the most populous country in Central America, and the 11th most populous country in the Americas. So there's a lot of people in Guatemala. I wonder how the traffic is. I don't know. It's a representative democracy with its capital and the largest city being Nueva Guatemala de Ascensión, and otherwise known as Guatemala City. I'll stick with Guatemala City. It's a little easier to say. And that is the most populous city in Central America. Now, what's interesting about Guatemala is that the territory of modern Guatemala hosted the core of the Maya civilization. You know, you studied the Maya when you were in high school, and that basically extended across Mesoamerica. So the Maya were basically running this place back in the day. Guatemala's location between the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean make it a target for hurricanes. Unfortunately, just like Florida, I live in the panhandle of Florida. And Hurricane Mitch in 1998 and Hurricane Stan in 2005 killed more than 1,500 people. So unfortunately, Guatemala is subject to hurricanes. And the damage really wasn't so much wind related, but rather due to significant flooding and mudslides. So the flooding and the mudslides is what killed people. And the most recent hurricane was Hurricane Ada in November 2020, which was responsible for more than 100 people killed, missing, and the government of Guatemala doesn't even know the exact number of people that were killed or missing from that hurricane. Guatemala's highlands, they lie along the Mantagua Fault, which is part of the boundary between the Caribbean and North American tectonic plates. So, much like Central America, South America, it's subject to tectonic plate activity. And this fault has been responsible for several major earthquakes in historic times, including a 7.5 magnitude earthquake on 4th of February 1976, which killed more than 25,000 people. Woo. And then don't forget our friends in Syria and Turkey. They too just endured that same kind of terrible natural disaster. Guatemala receives around 2 million tourists annually, and in recent years there's basically been an increase in tourism in beautiful Guatemala, especially with the number of cruise ships that have been visiting Guatemalan seaports, leading to more tourists coming into the country. And the tourists basically are interested in visiting the Mayan archaeological sites. And I can't blame them. I've been there to the archaeological sites, the Mayan ruins. Very interesting. Now, a significant number of Guatemalans live outside of Guatemala, The majority of these folks live in the United States of America, with estimates of numbers ranging from 480,000 to 1,400,000 Guatemalans who have left Guatemala and live in the United States and other countries. Immigration to the United States has led to a growth of Guatemalan communities, especially in California, Delaware. Here in Florida, there's lots of Guatemalans. We love our friends from Guatemala. And Illinois, New York, New Jersey, in Texas, Rhode Island, and other places. And this growth of people basically started around in the 1970s. Guatemala's official language is Spanish, okay, and it's spoken by 93% of the population, and as either their first or second language. There's Guatemalans that speak English too. There are 21 Mayan languages are spoken, especially in the rural areas, the farming areas, as well as 2 non-Mayan indigenous languages, Xinca, which is indigenous to the country, and Garifuna, which is an Arawakan language spoken on the Caribbean coast. And I love to hear these native languages from the indigenous folks, because it's important that those languages do not get lost, ladies and gentlemen. And according to the language law of 2003, these languages are recognized as national languages. Let's talk about my favorite subject, food. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there are many traditional foods in Guatemala, and Guatemalan cuisine is based upon Mayan cuisine, the Mayan heritage, and they prominently feature maize, chilies, and black beans. That's key ingredients. And traditional dishes include a variety of stews, including kakik, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is a tomato-based stew with turkey, pepian, and cocida. Okay. Guatemala is also known for its antojitos, which includes small tamales called chuchitos, and fried plantains and tostadas with tomato sauce. Oh, I love the tomato sauce. And guacamole or black beans. Now, I love guacamole too. I'll put guacamole on a hamburger. Certain foods in Guatemala are also eaten on certain days of the week. Okay, for example, a popular custom meal is to eat paches. It's kind of like a tamale with potatoes, and that meal is eaten on Thursdays. Certain dishes are also associated with special occasions, like All Saints Day, and on All Saints Day they eat tamales and ponche, which is like a fruit punch, which is good. And also this is common around Christmas. Now let's talk about souvenirs. If you go to Guatemala, you have got to get souvenirs and some handcrafts. Like when I was in Colombia, we went to Raquira in central Colombia. I picked up a bunch of souvenirs like this. And look at the detail. They didn't forget a thing. Now this is from Colombia, and the same is true with Guatemala. The handcraft are just fantastic. So don't forget your souvenirs if you go to Guatemala. I'm telling you, or for your magnets for your fridge too. Now let's talk about K1 visas in beautiful Guatemala in fiscal year 2022. 129 K1 visas were approved by the State Department for folks living in Guatemala who want to marry their American citizen sponsor. And if you're in the middle of a K1 process in Guatemala, we look forward to welcoming you to the United States of America. I'll put up here some information about contacting the U.S. Embassy, which is in Guatemala City. And I'll put the phone number up there too, so you can reach out to them. And also there's some email addresses I'll put up right here if you need to email the U.S. Embassy in Guatemala, especially if you're going through an immigration process. Don't forget, this Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Miami time, it's live with Diego. I'm going to do a live stream, YouTube live stream. I figured out how to do it, and this way I can talk to you directly in real time and give you answers to your questions regarding the K1 visa. Thanks for watching, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Soon you will be in the United States with your K1 K2 visas in your hand. We look forward to seeing you, and thanks for watching.
I'll be back.